So I am back with another video. We are going to be talking today about 5 mistakes that new authors make. Now, no one wants to talk about mistakes, I get it. But in order for us to get better, we have to find out the things that we're doing wrong, right? In order for us to become a best-selling author, you have to avoid these things because I have seen these over and over again. So I work with people from both sides. I work as a master book writing coach where I help people from the beginning of the writing process. But as a publisher, I also help people that have already written their books, need to clean it up, want to go ahead and, get that global expansion, so on and so forth. We'll talk about that later. But when I am working with authors, I see that these mistakes are showing up over and over and over again. So let me give you an example. I was talking to an author that had just written her book and she wanted to publish. So she wanted me to review the book. So I said, okay, go ahead, shoot the video, shoot the book over to me so I can review it. And while you're doing that, send me your outline so I can review the book next to the outline. She kind of froze and she got this look on her face. We were meeting via Zoom so I could see all of her facial expressions. And she said, I don't have an outline. And I said, you don't have an outline? Well, how did you write your book? She said, well, I was just inspired, so I just started to write as things came to me. And I was like, stop the presses. That's a problem. Because if you don't have a clear outline for your book, how do you know? How do you track? How do you make sure that you have gotten the reader from point A to point Z and given them all of the vital information and solutions that your book offers? That's mistake number 1. So I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you because I set it up, right? I set up the whole thing, gave you the backstory. Mistake number 1 is trying to write your book without a very concise outline. Outlines are so very, very, very important to your book. An outline, a good outline, is the determining factor between a best-selling book and a barely flies off the shelf type of book. A well-organized book, the outline, is the backbone to your entire book. Your outline talks about everything that you're going to cover in the book. It puts all of the subtopics that you're going to include in the book. It gives you all of the information to make sure you, as an author, stay on track. I always think about when we have these conversations, and if you're like me, you probably talk to a lot of people, right? So you talk to people, you ever having one of those conversations and then the person that you're talking to goes on a tangent and they start talking about something else and then they say, wait, okay. And you're sitting there like, okay, but what were we talking about again? Because you started telling me about the friend you met for lunch, but then you ended up complaining about your spouse. Then next thing you know, I'm at your children's school and none of the stories came together. I do that a lot. I'm that person. But that's why I even make myself have an outline. That's how it is when someone writes their book without an outline. They're all over the place. I have so many different examples of that I can give, but I think I've probably given you enough. I've drilled it in you enough to say you have to have a well-written outline. The second mistake that many new authors make is not understanding who their audience is. Now you have a video that I talk about that audience of 1, so I won't go into deep into that here, but not being clear about who your audience is a killer to writing a best-selling book. And it's a mistake that many authors make. Let me tell you what I mean. Again, just using these innocent people that I work with, right? I say, okay, you've written an amazing book. Who are you writing it to? They say, oh, I don't want to limit myself. This is for women. This is for men. This is for children. This is for teenagers. This is for everyone. I said, okay, well, the subjects and the way that you speak is different depending on the audience. For example, when I'm talking to my children at home, I may talk very slowly. I may repeat myself. I may say things like, is that clear? Do you understand me? Now, when I'm talking to my husband, if I talk to him in that tone and say, is it clear? Do you understand me? That'd be kind of rude, right? He probably wouldn't answer. He'd probably look at me like I'm crazy, like, okay, why are you talking to me like I'm a child? You see the way I just talked about that? So my children, we may be talking about the same subject, but it's a way that I deliver it to the children versus the way that I deliver it to my husband. It's the same way with writing a book. You cannot talk to everyone. There's a different tone that you use. There's a different connection that you have. Even if you're dealing this from a cultural perspective, if you're writing a book to Black women, it's different if you're writing a book to Asian women. Everyone in their culture has different experiences. Now, are there certain experiences that are around? Yes. There's certain things, certain general things that all women go through? Yes. But maybe if a woman has children versus a woman that doesn't have children, their experiences won't be the same. Think about that. Think about the audience that you're talking to. Again, a mistake that many authors make, new authors, is not being clear about who they're talking to. The other mistake that many new authors make is not having any goals for their book. And when I talk about goals, I don't just mean completion goals. I talk about the solutions, the clarity, understanding what is the reader going to walk away with. Think about that. When your reader finishes reading your book, what are they going to take away? That goes back to that outline that we talked about earlier, because that outline is going to be very clear about what that is. What are the takeaways? And which now takes me to our next problem, mistake that many new authors have, and that's not having clear solutions for their book. The clear solutions that they bring to the reader. Most people don't want to read things just because. Because think about it. Everyone has a certain amount of time, especially if they've dedicated it to personal development or study or whatever they're doing. They generally have very short attention spans. So if I read your book, and of course there are people that are going to read your book for leisure. So if you're writing a fiction book, this may not necessarily apply to you. This is more or less for nonfiction books. You want to sit and you want people to best use their time to have a clear solution so that that book that you're writing will bring impact. I have found that the books that bring the greatest impact are those that are very clear, giving how-to steps, clarity, do steps 1, 2, 3, when the author has an understanding of what it is the reader needs to bring that change. Go ahead and think about those solutions that you're going to offer in your book. Now, another thing that I see, and I think this is maybe number 5, right? If we're keeping count, I'm sure you'll probably see something that has them listed below. Number 5, not authentically connecting to your audience. You ever sit and you listen to someone and they sound like they're talking at you instead of to you? I hate that, by the way, and I'm sure you may hate that too. It's kind of like that scenario that I talked about earlier when I talked about my husband. There are things that you say to people to let them understand, to connect, and let them understand that you're trying to engage with them. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to tread a little lightly when I say this. You are writing this book, but you are not the only one in the world that has experienced what you've experienced to some degree that may have the insight that you have. Now, I'm not saying you don't have a little twist to it, because all of us have our way of delivery, but you are not the end all to be all. So having said that, people are going to read your book because they want to connect with you. Connection is everything. So be personable. When you're writing your book, I tell new authors that all the time. Ask your reader questions, engage with them, see where they are, allow them to see themselves in your story, allow them to see themselves in your message, allow them to see themselves even in the way that you put the information together in your book. Connection is key. And connection is going to be so very important, and it's going to determine whether or not they buy your next book. It's also going to determine whether or not they share your book with a friend. Connection, connection, connection. You don't want to write a book that says you are the final authority and you know it all. We are all learning. We're all human. We're all figuring this thing out. Now, you may have gotten that further than where your reader is, but you also want them to be involved and feel as if you are a friend. You're someone that is helping them. You are someone that can help bring solutions to the problems that they're having. Now, I said I was going to give you 5 things, but I always over-deliver. That's just who I am. I'm going to give you a bonus because there's something else that I think is so very important, and it's a mistake that I see so many new authors having. They try to put too much in one book. Now, I get it, right? You've been waiting to write this book for a very long time. So you may be trying to put every single thing throughout your life, your experience, everything in one book. Ma'am, sir, stop it. Stop putting all that information in one book. Go ahead and make sure that when you go back to that outline, make sure that the information you are putting together in that book is not too much for people to digest. Some things may not make it in this book. I just gotta say, some things may not make it. Some things will make it in book 2 and book 3. But make sure that the solutions that you bring, anything that makes it into this book, connects with the solutions that the reader needs. So I hope that these have been helpful to you as I put these 5 mistakes, common mistakes that new authors make. And today, I know from today forward, you are not going to make these mistakes. Now, if you have not had an opportunity, go ahead and get my free ebook, Write It, Tap Into Your Power, and Write Your Best-Selling Book in 90 Days. The information is below. Why do you need this ebook? Well, this ebook is giving you all the information that I do and talk about and teach in my workshops and with my clients to help you be able to write your book. Accountability is everything. Having clear goals is important. Having a timeline to write. Don't you want to know how many words you need to write by a certain date? All of that is in that free ebook. Connect with us. Do not try to do this on your own any longer because you've already tried to do it on your own. And that's why you have been led to watch these videos. We're giving you the resources, the solutions that you need. Thank you again for tuning in. If you know someone else that needs to write a book, go ahead and share this with them. Don't be stingy. Share the love and the knowledge. Go ahead. Give them the tools that they need to be able to write their books in 90 days. Go ahead and do it today. Make the commitment. Are you going to be a best-selling author? Are we going to be able to read your book? Are you going to have your outline? Are you going to bring your clear solutions? Are you going to make sure you don't try to include too much information in the book? You sure are. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Dr. Sherry Walton, and I am your master book coach, helping you write your book in 90 days. I'll see you soon. Take care.